You've heard ghost stories before, whispers of shadows, of figures in the dark. But this one is different, because it's not just a story, it's a warning. They used to say, in the far fields of a nameless 17th century village, that when the harvest moon rose, the sickle did not belong to the farmers anymore. It belonged to him, the midnight harvester. The village was small, poor, and bound together by the cycles of the land. Wheat and barley were their lifeblood, and every stalk was watched with prayer. But in the weeks before harvest, when the crops were golden and heavy, fear would creep into the streets. Doors were barred at sunset. Candles burned low. No one dared step into the fields after dark. For those who did were never seen again. They whispered of a cloaked figure with a hood so black it swallowed moonlight, walking between the rows of grain, dragging an ancient sickle that gleamed silver, even when the sky was cloudy and the stars hidden. Some said he was a cursed farmer who once traded his soul for a bountiful harvest, and now he came to reap not wheat, but people. Hans, a young farmer, had heard the stories all his life, but he didn't believe them. He had more to fear from starvation than from fairy tales. The harvest was coming late that year, and if any thief dared creep into his field, Hans meant to stop him. So, on the night of the harvest moon, while the rest of the village locked themselves away, Hans carried a lantern to the edge of his field. The air was still, unnaturally still, no crickets, no wind, no rustle of grain, just silence so heavy it made the heart pound louder. He sat on a wooden stool, lantern by his feet, and held his father's scythe tight. "Let the harvester come," he muttered. "I'll be the one to end the story tonight." But hours passed. His eyelids grew heavy. The lantern flickered, then died. Darkness pressed in, thick and suffocating. And then, shhh-tisht. The unmistakable sound of wheat being cut. Hans froze. His field stretched before him, silvered by moonlight. Every stalk still standing tall, yet the sound was steady, slow, deliberate, the soft rasp of a sickle through grain. He rose, holding his scythe tight, and stepped between the rows. The sound grew louder, always ahead of him, just beyond sight. "Who's there?" he called. His voice cracked. No answer, only that endless, patient sound of cutting. He pushed deeper into the field. The grain brushed against his shoulders, whispering as he passed. The sound shifted, now to his left, now to his right, now behind him. He spun in circles, heart racing, the sweat on his skin turning cold. "Show yourself!" he shouted. The sound stopped, silence, and then, directly behind him, a whisper, "I do not harvest wheat." Hans turned, and his lantern flared back to life on its own, casting a dim glow. There, not a feet away, stood a figure cloaked in black, face lost in the shadows of its hood. The sickle in its hand gleamed unnaturally bright, though no light touched it. Hans stumbled back, raising his scythe. "Stay away." The harvester tilted its head, as though curious. Then it raised a bony hand and pointed to the ground. Hans followed the gesture, and his stomach twisted. The earth beneath the crops wasn't soil at all. It was hair, pale, matted strands woven through the dirt like roots. And when he looked closer, he saw the outlines of faces half buried, their mouths frozen in silent screams. The harvester's whisper came again, like wind through hollow bones. "The field is ripe." The ground shifted. Hands, dozens, hundreds of hands, clawed up from the soil, pale and rotting, grasping at Hans's ankles. He kicked and thrashed, swinging his scythe wildly. The blade cut through the stalks, but the stalks bled, crimson soaking the golden wheat. No, no. Hans screamed, tearing himself free. He ran, crashing through the rows, the sound of pursuit behind him, the sht of the sickle, steady, patient, unhurried. The field seemed endless. The more he ran, the taller the crops grew, until they loomed above him like balls twisting into a maze. His lungs burned, his vision blurred, but still he ran. Finally, he burst into a clearing. The moon hung directly overhead, bathing everything in silver light. For a moment, he thought he was safe. Then he saw it. In the center of the clearing was a scarecrow. Its clothes were ragged, its head a burlap sack stitched into a crude face. But the scythe it held wasn't straw. It was Hans's father's scythe. and the face under the burlap sack was his own. Hans screamed. The scarecrow lunged. The last thing he heard was the soft, steady sound of a sickle slicing through the air. By morning, the villagers found his field empty. His stool overturned, his lantern cold. Not a trace of him remained. But when the sun rose high and they dared to look closer, they noticed something strange. The field was already harvested, every stalk cut clean. And if you listened closely, you could still hear it. S-H-H-H-T-cht. The sound of the harvester walking through fields that would never truly be empty.